Welcome back to the Wrestle Rewind, where we discuss the Monday Night Wars. We break them down head to head, and we tell you who wins that week. And now we are into October, so now it is officially spooky season for the Monday Night Wars. But we will go to the first head-to-head of Monday night, and it is October 7th of 1996. And we start off with Nitro, where we have a recap of Macho Man finding Miss Elizabeth at the hotel room last week, and we're going to start building that story a little bit. The first match we have is the Harlem Heat versus Public Enemy, and if you notice, the Harlem Heat are once again the WCW Tag Team Champions, and you're going to tell me, but Public Enemy just won it, and we haven't seen them lose it on TV or pay-per-view. Well, they did lose it on WCW Saturday night. The Harlem Heat regained the Tag Team titles after they cheated to beat Public Enemy. Why did Public Enemy have an 8-day run? Could not find anything. Don't know if it was injury related, but yeah.
Maybe they made the decision, then they realized, we probably should have put the belts on them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the better choice is the Harlem Heat, so I'm glad they came to their senses eventually. And I should mention also, this is not a WCW Tag Team title match. So we went from a potential Public Enemy versus Outsiders to Harlem Heat versus Outsiders, which that's much better.
Yes.
But Nick Patrick is the referee in this match, and he's wearing a neck brace because he is still selling the attack from Macho Man last week. And the Public Enemy, of course, the faces in this match. But at one point during the match, Sherry, she tries to get involved into the match. And Rocco Rock, though, he grabs Sherry, and he looks like he's about to punch her before Booker T stops him from doing so.
I know, he's about to strike her down.
Also during the match, we cut backstage where we see Miss Elizabeth knocking on Macho Man's locker room door. He doesn't answer. She opens it up and finds that nobody is there. And then also during this match, we see the NWO watching the match from the crowd. Scott Hall has a microphone, and he tells the wrestlers in the ring that if they want some of the outsiders, they are going to get it. And then Nash tells Harlem Heat that at Halloween Havoc, that they are going to snap into those tag team titles because this is Slim Jim presents Halloween Havoc. Scott Hall then mimics the theme from Friday the 13th because it's Halloween Havoc. You got to do that. So I just thought that was kind of funny.
It's Halloween Havoc, Chico. It's gonna be awful scary.
And also, I should note that the Nash and Hall are also wearing those nose bandages, or whatever you want to call them, nose tape that the Harlem Heat wear. They're just obviously making fun of them. Nash asks why the Harlem Heat wear them, and he says he smells fear in Harlem Heat, so I guess that enhances his sense of smell. And then Scott Hall ends the trash talk with telling Harlem Heat that their time is running out, and whether they're ready or not, the outsiders are coming for them. All right, so back to the match. We continue on, and then eventually the Rocco Rock goes to the top rope and is about to dive onto Booker T, but Sherry hops into the apron and Colonel Parker pushes Rocco Rock off the turnbuckle, and he goes to the table that they have brought with him. One of these guys is always going through a table there, but when Sherry is distracting Nick Patrick, she's like essentially babying him by his neck injury. It's kind of funny. She's like, "Oh, you poor thing."
Yeah, Sherry, when she does that's funny.
But then Stevie Ray gets a chair and he hits Johnny Grunge's leg with a chair, and then jumps off the turnbuckle and hits Grunge's leg again with the chair, and then Booker T pins Grunge for the win. Typical ending for our Harlem Heat match at this time. We'll move on. We see a limo pull up backstage, and this must be the NWO, but no, this is Jeff Jarrett. But the announcers will do this thing until later in the night. They will keep talking about how since Jeff Jarrett came out of the limo, he must be with the NWO. Bischoff, you're about a few years early.
Jeff Jarrett, he says something, he kind of mutters it, but he says he has something to say as he walks, and that cuts away.
We're not getting to that yet. That comes in later into the show, but Jeff Jarrett is back. That's JEWF. Nah, I'm not gonna do the whole thing.
Aha.
One thing before the next match, we do look at some footage of Nick Patrick on WCW Saturday Night, where he had said that Macho Man had received the highest fine in WCW history for putting his hands on him, and he says the fine was for $1 million. And he also says that he is pushing for Macho Man to be suspended, and he says that WCW better back him up on this, because he says there was an announcer who stirred up a bunch of controversy on him and isn't around anymore. And of course, he's referring to Mean Gene, who's going to be out for about 2 months because he is renegotiating his contract with WCW. But Nick Patrick is really just misunderstood here. WCW's kind of giving him the shaft.
I do like that they incorporated Mean Gene's absence in the storyline, though.
Yeah, it works for Nick Patrick, too. He's like, see, well, I got this guy removed, so what I am saying has validity.
This guy was removed for talking reckless.
So he's telling the rest of them, don't you start talking reckless either. And then before the next match, we do have a Diamond Dallas Page pre-recorded video. He calls Eddie Guerrero Burrito Boy. Don't think you can do that anymore.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's not going to fly today.
He also tells Eddie Guerrero that he has a butt whipping coming to him at Halloween Havoc, and he tells Eddie that he is going to put something on him that even Ajax can't clean off. But this leads us into our next match of Diamond Dallas Page versus Jim Powers with Teddy Long.
Okay, so Diamond Dallas Page says Diamond Cutter 1, 2, 3. Jim Powers, of course, resident WCW jobber at this point. After the match, though, Diamond Dallas Page does shove Teddy Long and threatens to punch him.
Yeah, but then he mocks him. I think he does that taunt to him as he backs up. But yeah, this match was passable. I don't think Jim Powers is a bad wrestler, but he's just kind of generic. But the main thing is we're just building DDP for his match. I think it's Eddie Guerrero, which that's the match I'm looking forward to. The card for Halloween Havoc's pretty good.
Yeah, I like the build.
I do have one problem with it, but we'll get there when we get there. So that's it for the first two matches of Nitro. Let's go over to Raw, where we have our first match. But before so, the commentators tell us that JR is supposed to be commentating, but they don't know where he is. They say he might be in the back somewhere. But conveniently enough, we see Fake Diesel with Jim Ross come out for their match against Mark Marrow. Then he goes to the announce table and he apologizes for being late, and he says he was conducting some business for Diesel. The crowd hates it. I hate it. You hate it. We all hate it. But during the match, we do go backstage and see, air quotes, Razor Ramon, and we see him doing a bad impression of Razor Ramon, and he tells us that he's going to go to a ring to take a closer look at the match. And Jake, I don't know if you noticed this, but during this match, I noticed there were a lot of empty seats in the arena here. I don't think business is doing pretty good right now.
No. But yeah, Razor goes to ringside.
Marrow goes and hits a sunset flip onto him, goes ahead and take care of that issue.
And then Diesel and Razor just double team Marrow, which causes disqualification. And then after disqualification, Mr. Diesel over here hits the jackknife. And actually wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I will say Kane/Fake Diesel here does actually do a pretty decent jackknife.
I don't understand why they had Marrow win by DQ.
Well, and I also question the plan to have your newly crowned Intercontinental Champion look weak against two imposters.
That's fine. Yeah.
And I was worried at the time. Luckily, it didn't come to fruition, but I was worried that since the attack happened, that he would have a feud with them, one of the two of them, before the Intercontinental title. I was like, please,
Oh,
no.
that would be terrible.
It didn't happen, thankfully.
No, they do get a tag title shot, which is more than what they deserve.
Yeah. But for this match, of course, it was boring, and they did get some boos, Fake Diesel and Fake Razor Ramon, but it was more go-away heat than anything.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is.
After this, we do go to an Undertaker video where we see him digging a grave, and he says his work is nearly at his end, as is mankind's existence on Earth. That's not what you want to hear.
No.
And he says that all that's left to do is fill this grave with his maggot-infested corpse, and he tells mankind he won't have a nice day and will not rest in peace. I thought it was a pretty good video. I liked it.
Yeah, it's funny because last week Mankind was at the graveside and Undertaker was there. Now Undertaker finally got around to digging it.
But yeah, good video. I liked it. Let's go back to Nitro. But next for Nitro is we have a ramp interview with Macho Man and race car driver. His name is Jason Keller. He is the driver of the Slim Jim car. Wow, we got a lot of race car stuff recently.
That's because it's Turner, and I think they had NASCAR on TNT.
Well, this whole interview is pretty much Macho Man talking about the race they had this last weekend, I guess. The NWO car did not finish the race. It crashed into a wall, so Macho Man makes fun of him for that. And then the Slim Jim car finished in 10th place, so top 10 finish there for the good guys. Macho Man even thanks the big Macho Man in the sky for it. And then he moves on to business, and he tells Hollywood Hogan that he is going to crash and burn at Halloween Havoc, just like the NWO race car. Miss Elizabeth is then seen walking out, and she tells Macho Man that she needs to speak to him, and Macho Man tells her no, and that what's done is done, and then he walks away.
After all that stuff with Flair, you know?
Yeah, I am glad I didn't just make him instantly like, oh, yeah, I'll take you back.
Yeah, no, I would have hated that.
Well, and she cost him multiple matches for the WCW title, so she's got more things to do before Macho Man will forgive her.
Yeah.
The only thing I was really annoyed by for this segment is that they didn't really address what happened in the hotel at all.
Yeah, I was like, well, hopefully they address it later. We'll find out.
So at the time, I was like, I would have liked us to kind of talk about that, since that's how we ended the show last week, but we kind of just sweep it under the rug for now. But we then go on to our third match for Nitro, and it is High Voltage versus the Faces of Fear with Jimmy Hart. Tony Schiavone tells us that Jeff Jarrett will be making his return to the ring tonight. So not only is he back, he's going to have a match tonight too.
That was a pretty intriguing hook if you were a Jeff Jarrett fan.
But during this match, we do see Mongo McMichael and Chris Benoit come out to watch this match. Commentary tells us that they will be facing the Faces of Fear at Halloween Havoc. So there you go. That's another good match on paper, I think.
Yeah.
But then we go back to the match, and the Faces of Fear win a squash match that featured a lot of cool power moves from the Faces of Fear, like some pump handle slams, power bombs, stuff like that. So you get that sort of good stuff. The finish, though, it was Ming slingshot him into a big boot from Barbarian for the win.
They're a little stiff.
Those guys don't take it easy on you, I'll tell you that. And then afterwards, Jimmy Hart tells the camera that they are ready for Mongo and Benoit at Halloween Havoc. I mean, this match was fine. I do like that the WCW is now starting to push the Faces of Fear as a legitimate tag team, and they're getting them over pretty good, I think.
I agree.
This is a bully tag team.
Yeah, there's a lot to like here.
And we haven't even seen them bust out the cooler stuff yet. I think that comes next week or maybe the week after. We'll go into our next match, and it is Glacier versus Mike Winner, was it?
Yeah, Mike Winner.
I looked him up because I never heard of him. He looks like a jobber, but he apparently is a WCW power plant instructor. That's the only information I could find on the guy.
He looks like if Scott Steiner was a jobber.
So, yeah, there you go. He looks like if Scott Steiner was a total jobber. Yeah, there you go.
There are boring chants throughout this match, so the crowd's already getting done with Glacier, it seems.
Here's a case of we like him until the bell rings. This is a squash match, obviously. Glacier wins this with a cryonic kick. And then afterwards, he poses for a couple minutes, and it felt like it took forever. This is why he's not getting over WCW. This bullshit you're doing here.
Yeah, so long.
This guy. And the cryonic kick. He does have some good kicks.
I like the cryonic kick.
Alrighty, so we'll go over to Raw, and we have a Sycho Sid backstage interview where he tells Goldust that he dances with the devil tonight, and then he ends it with his master and ruler of the world bit.
Yeah,
So
it's basic Sid promo.
it's just to hype up the main event for tonight's show, which is Goldust versus Sycho Sid. For the next match, we also have a Smoking Guns pre-recorded video. Bart Gunn says they are going to win back their titles, and Billy Gunn says that Sonny will be with them as well. But then Bart Gunn has to remind Billy Gunn to focus on the match and not on Sonny, which at this time is a hard thing to do.
And Billy Gunn's acting like he's like smitten by Sonny, which, you know, totally understandable.
But this is Billy Gunn just more focused on himself and Sonny and not Bart Gunn in the tag team. So, of course, we are building towards a split, which I think is a good time to do it.
Yeah.
But does this lead into our next match? And it is the New Rockers versus the Smoking Guns. During this match, we do have a Sonny phone interview, and she says if the Smoking Guns win the belts, she will consider managing them again because Billy Gunn is just so darn cute. And yeah, that's the extent of the phone call there.
There are Sonny chants all throughout this match.
Yeah, so that probably should tell you all you need to know. But the Smoking Guns win the match with the Sidewinder. As far as this match is concerned, it was a dud of a match. They weren't even the focus of the match, just like you were saying.
Basic filler.
Yep, crowd was bored with this one too. But then after this, we go see a video of the roadie. We see him with former man in charge of the music for WWE, Jim Johnston. He's there to play the guitar for Rhodey. But I did say, hey, I know that guy.
I was like, okay.
He's much better than Def Rebel, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But Rhodey tells us that he does not hate Jeff Jarrett, but he tells Jarrett that he is not a good entertainer. That's harsh.
There's a point during this video where he does refer to himself as Road Dogg.
Yeah, because right now they'll call him the Roadie Jesse James.
We'll see how long he is Jesse James. It's too long.
Rhodey ends it with saying that he would love to have Jeff Jarrett back, but this time it would be him dragging his bags and Jarrett can be his roadie. So it's just funny that they're doing this right as Jeff Jarrett's coming back. But that is that. Before we go back to Nitro, we do have a Goldust backstage interview here where he tells Sycho Sid he is at the wrong place at the wrong time, and he tells Sid that he may rule the world, but Goldust rules him. All right, so we'll go to our fifth match for Nitro, and it is Hugh Morris versus the debuting Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett, he is super confident going into this, and he's even telling us that this match is going to be too easy. Bischoff on commentary continues to talk about Jeff Jarrett being a member of the NWO. He's talking as if this is a done deal, which it kind of annoyed me because I'm like, dude, you're making a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, but I can't, some people just make
He's paranoid.
assumptions. Yeah, he's paranoid. And he came out of a limousine, so.
I mean, limousines equal NWO, that's for sure.
At
Not that
least
Ric Flair
right now.
ever came out of one.
Yeah, at least
not that
right
Ric
now.
Flair ever came out.
No, of course not.
But we'll just go to the end of the match here. Hugh Morris goes for a top rope leg drop, but he misses it, and then Jarrett's able to get the figure four on for the victory. I thought this was a pretty semi-entertaining squash match.
Fine.
Yeah, it was fine. But I'm getting my soapbox again. Yet another person with a figure four. But at least in Jarrett's case, he's done it before.
He's
so
been
it's not the
doing
first time.
it. Mm-hmm.
But then after this, we do have an interview with Jeff Jarrett. He's still strutting here as our new interviewer, Tony Schiavone, asks Jeff Jarrett about potentially being a member of the NWO. Jarrett tells him that he wants to respond to what Hogan said about being bigger than the wrestling industry. And he says Hogan put promoters like Vern Gagne and Jarrett's dad, Jerry Jarrett, on the map and wouldn't have existed without him. He takes great exception to that. And as Jarrett's trying to be the good guy here, the crowd does have an NWO chant, so it's kind of not working out for him. But then Jarrett tells Hogan that he has forgotten history, and he says history means something to him. And then echoes Sting's sentiments from a week or so ago, where he tells the NWO they can stick it.
Yeah, so he has made his allegiance clear. He is not part of the NWO, so Schiavone can stop being paranoid.
Yep, Bischoff too.
Bischoff too, yes.
Bischoff afterwards says he feels a lot better about life right now.
I got a kick out of that. He had to like relieve and stuff. That was
I would say he acted like this was a weight off of his shoulders. I thought he did a great job with that part. So our sixth match for Nitro is the Renegade versus Arn Anderson with woman. As you've seen Arn lately, you know he's not in a good mood, and this crowd loves a particularly angry Arn Anderson.
He comes in hot.
The crowd pops huge when he hits the DDT for the win. For this match, it was a little longer than it needed to be, I think, but I would say actually I thought this was one of the Renegade's best matches, which is not saying too much, but I did actually think this was an enjoyable match.
Yeah, it's not saying a lot at all.
I try to give some credit here and there. But after the match, Arn Anderson puts Renegade into Tree of Woe, and woman holds him in place, pulling him by his hair, and then Arn puts the boots to Renegade until Lex Luger comes out to make the save, and Arn and woman get out of dodge. We are starting to build towards an Arn Anderson Lex Luger match here at Halloween Havoc. So this is kind of the start to it. Well, the start was Sting not showing up, but this is yet another matchup for Halloween Havoc that should be an interesting match. So like we said, it's building up to be a good card. So the next we will go back over to Raw, and we have an in-ring interview with Vader and Jim Cornette. Cornette thanks JR for helping him bring Vader to the WWF. He kind of says it under his breath, but Jim Ross did. He was actually one of the reasons Vader came over. JR then tells Cornette that the winner of Vader versus Sycho Sid at the Buried Alive pay-per-view will face Shawn Michaels for the title at Survivor Series. So we do always like some stakes in matches, so this match got a lot more interesting. Cornette says Vader shouldn't have to win a match to face Shawn Michaels since he has beaten Shawn Michaels 3 times. True, he did. Could have been twice in one night.
Twice in one night, then last week. Yeah, last week.
So that's a good point. Cornette then says that the WWF is just protecting their cash cow, and he says the WWF is afraid that Vader will become champion and destroy that cash cow, which, you know, they probably are. You see how Vince loves Shawn Michaels.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, okay. And then Cornette continues on saying that the WWF is trying to keep Vader away from the title, but at Buried Alive, Vader will take Sid out with his own move, the Powerbomb. Cornette says no one will deny Vader of his rightful place and promises that Vader will be champion. I thought this was a good promo from Cornette, and he does have a few solid points.
It got me intrigued by the Powerbomb versus Powerbomb potential.
Yes. Yeah, let's go ahead to the next match here. We have the Sultan with Bob Backlund and Iron Sheik versus Aldo Montoya. Bob Backlund on commentary absolutely loses his shit. Yeah. And he goes on quite the tirade. I can't even get into all what he said because he's just all over the place, but it's actually entertaining. But I care more about that than the match. So Sultan wins this with the camel clutch to pay homage to the Iron Sheik. But this is the second match in a row where the commentary was more interesting than the match.
I would definitely check the match out only for Backlund's commentary.
I don't think it helps build the Sultan at all because it's just more building Backlund.
And the Sultan can't cut a promo because his tongue's cut out.
Yeah, he's not doing the Paul Heyman school of putting someone over. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. What's more interesting is the Mankind promo after it, though.
Yes, we do have a Mankind video, and he's also at a gravesite. He is saying he doesn't want to be buried alive, and he doesn't want maggots eating his flesh. We can all relate to that.
I don't blame him. I don't want maggots.
But Mankind, then he gets in the grave, then he grabs the urn and he says, "Have a nice day." And he's just kind of going crazy. So they are hyping up that match pretty well, I think. But we'll go back over to see what Nitro's doing. It'll be the 7th match, and it is Lex Luger versus Dave Taylor. Bischoff on commentary, he gets a dig at the WWF during Lex Luger's entrance, saying that the crowd tonight is electric and not piped in like other promotions. And he is not lying because the quality of Raws lately, I can guarantee you that was piped crowd noise. Mm-hmm. But for this match, we also get a Luger pre-recorded video where he tells Regal he wants his TV title back.
And then apparently Luger had lost the TV title on Saturday, on the Saturday shows.
Yeah, I'll also say, when is the last time we even mentioned a TV title match?
Yeah, so it meant nothing when Luger had it. I did get a kick out of Dave Taylor when he comes out because he smacks Jeeves around, like smacks him on the head. And he called him like a stupid little person, so he must have been talking to Hogan. Stupid little man.
But yeah, Jeeves apparently has had enough of Taylor's shit, though, and he throws down the flags that he carries out, and that pisses Dave Taylor off. So he European uppercuts Jeeves. It's like, I'm not even going to punch you. I'm just going to uppercut you.
Yeah, we're done here.
And then the announcers tell us that part of the reason Robert Eaton left them was because of how they treat Jeeves. He wasn't a fan of it.
I feel like WCW could have got more mileage out of the Blue Bloods. But.
Yeah, they didn't even try. But yeah, if you care, that's why Robert Eaton's out. They don't really have a feud after this either. So unless it's on a Saturday show, that's pretty much it. But for this match, Dave Taylor goes for a mid-rope elbow drop. He misses it. Luger takes advantage, and he applies the torture rack for the win. And then afterwards, Luger is high-fiving fans. And then Arn Anderson comes out and hits Luger in the back with a chair, and then hits him a few more times on the ground to really work in those ribs. He wants those ribs to be nice and soft when he goes to marinate them.
Which is a good job, because now going into the match, you're like, oh, there's no way Arn Anderson is going to be Lex Luger. But now with the injury, you're like, okay, maybe there's a way he can get a win.
All right, the next match for Nitro, we have our 8th match, and it is Rick Steiner with Scott Steiner versus Chris Benoit with Mongo McMichael and Deborah. Bischoff on commentary tells us that Scott Steiner, unfortunately, has 2 herniated discs, and that's why he missed last week, and he will probably have to have surgery soon. So that sucks.
Yep. No. So Benoit, as you know, does a good quick scoop slam on Rick Steiner here. Not perfect, but it's good enough.
Yeah, good enough to be a certified Scoopy.
Yeah.
But of course, another thing Rick Steiner does well, he always has a nice catch power slam. He has another one here.
Yeah, he does that so well. It doesn't matter the opponent, too.
His timing is just really good on those.
Like the Steiner liner, too.
But at one point in this match, Scott Steiner gets frustrated with referee Nick Patrick. He's, doesn't like some of the counts he's making, I guess. He grabs Nick Patrick by the hair, and I was kind of surprised that Nick Patrick didn't call for DQ or throw him out the match.
Yeah, that was interesting.
But then we also cut backstage and see the NWO limo backing up into the arena, and we see Hollywood Hogan and the Giant exit. Hollywood Hogan tells Giant to stay at the limo because he has some business to take care of. So I wonder what business that is. We'll see. We go back to the match, and we see the certified Scoopy from Benoit, and this causes Rick Steiner's headgear to come off, and I thought it was very weird to see him without it.
I know, it's so odd to see him without the headgear.
I don't think it's a bad look, but it's just, not
used to it.
That we've seen. Yeah. And then Benoit, that's a good time for him to go for his flying headbutt without the headgear, so he does that. But Steiner is able to recover, and he has a nice belly-to-belly, followed by a top rope bulldog for a 2 count. Scott Steiner again argues with Nick Patrick about the slow count. Then both men then are able to knock each other down with a double clothesline. I like those spots. Usually look pretty stiff. Deborah jumps on the apron and distracts Nick Patrick, and this allows Mongo to attempt this time to hit Rick Steiner with the Halliburton, but Scott Steiner is here this week to help out, so he approaches Mongo before he can hit Rick Steiner, and then Rick Steiner is able to take the Halliburton away from Mongo, and he nails both Mongo and Benoit with it and covers Benoit for the win. Good sells on the Halliburton, I thought, from Benoit in particular.
Good. I thought it was a decent match.
Yeah, I like this match. You got some hard-hitting moves. I think it's the best match of the night so far.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so now we are down to the main event for both shows. We'll go over to Monday Night Raws, and it is Goldust with Marlena versus Sycho Sid. And if you missed Razor Ramon earlier in the day, he's back here for this. He is seen watching the match on the monitor during Goldust's entrance, and I was like, I hope you're not trying to continue the unfinished Razor Ramon Goldust feud. That's what I thought. I was like, please don't. But when Sid comes out, I will say that he seems to be one of the only people to get a reaction on tonight's show. That's all I'm saying.
So there was a point where Sycho Sid just repeatedly slaps backhand and front hand Goldust a few times.
Is it a paintbrush?
Yeah, he paintbrushes him. Yep.
But the finish to this match is Sycho Sid hits a choke slam and he follows it up with the powerbomb for the win. We got to end with the powerbomb because again we're doing that powerbomb versus powerbomb match. And then after the match, Vader attacks Sid from behind, and then he hits a mid-rope splash on Sid, but Sid is able to get up and he chokeslams Vader. And then Sid poses to end the show, and the crowd was going crazy because, again, Sid's the only thing they give a damn about.
I did get kind of upset that he no-sold the splash.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that either.
This was a Hogan no-sell, just immediately or Warrior no-sell, just getting right up.
This match wasn't bad. It wasn't great either. It seemed to be the theme for the night. It's like, it's okay. But it just, Goldust also in particular seems to be falling way down the card.
They've lost focus of his booking.
That's definitely true. But I do think they did a decent job tonight, though, building towards the Sycho Sid Vader match. So that was really the only thing they accomplished this week, to be honest. But we'll go over to Nitro, where we have our main event, and it is Macho Man versus Ric Flair with woman for the United States title. Flair's music hits, but Flair does not come out. We go backstage and we see the NWO are beating up Ric Flair, and Vincent is seen holding the US title. And Nash looks at the camera and he's like, "Thug life, baby." I was like, Nash, come on, man. You're too big to be doing that. But then we also see Miss Elizabeth is there as well, and the Giant walks towards Liz. He kind of backs her out to the arena. So we see her come out to like the Intertramp area, and then Macho Man approaches Giant with a chair, but Hollywood Hogan is then able to hit Macho Man from behind, and he picks him up, drops him on the guardrail, then starts choking him with the chair. Ms. Elizabeth is trying to yell at Hogan to stop, but then Hogan grabs Elizabeth and tells her that he owns her. I was like, that's pretty jacked up, Hogan.
Yeah, that was odd.
But the Giant picks Macho Man up, and he goes to bring Macho Man to the ring, and as he is walking up the ring steps, I don't know how he does it.
So when he steps on his right foot, he steps near the edge of it, and so the stairs tips over, and he completely drops Macho Man, and he lands on the stairs. It had to have been painful.
This is a colossal fuck up by the Giant. I mean, it's huge.
And so then Giant picks him up, and he wants to toss him in the ring. He still kind of botches that too.
I will remind you, this is the second time this side of the stairs here has taken somebody, knocked someone down, hit it a Hoovy a week or two ago, and now the Giant. It's the same stairs, same suspect. I mean...
Yeah, that's the problem. Which I wonder if that's why they eventually move it to the other side, which makes sense.
But yeah, the Giant does seem a little embarrassed that he messed this up. Oh, man. But then we go back to business, and Hogan then proceeds to take over the Macho Man beating as Miss Elizabeth is forced to watch. Hogan then hits atomic leg drop on Macho Man 3 times. Ever since he got to the NWO, he loves spamming leg drops on Macho Man in particular.
I know, he does that a lot. He'll spam like 4 or 5 leg drops. I'm like, well, now you wonder why your hips all shattered and stuff.
But I just love how it's always on Macho Man. But then Hogan gets some more spray paint out, and then instead of spray painting on Macho Man this time, we spray around him, kind of like a crime scene. I thought that was kind of a funny visual too.
Yeah.
And the Giant here tonight has a bad night at the box office because as they're standing around doing the thing, a fan nails the Giant in the back with a drink. So now he's drenched in soda too.
Right. The fans, when they throw stuff in WCW, some of them have some incredible aim.
They do, because I feel like someone's always getting nailed with something. So yeah, after the Giant gets nailed by a drink, then we see Hogan hit a 4th and 5th atomic leg drop on Macho Man. I mean, the man's done. What are you doing here? But then he spray paints HH on Macho Man's back because, again, he told Macho Man earlier he owns him. And then Hall and Ash come out, and then Hogan asks for a microphone, so we get into his promo. And he starts off his promo by telling Macho Man and Elizabeth that their marriage is null and void. And he tells Elizabeth he owns her body, her soul, and her heart. He tells Macho Man that he doesn't know if he's going to be able to make it to Halloween Havoc, and then he gets down into Macho Man's face. He tells him to snap into a Slim Jim, "You macho punk." Just more grade A insults from Hulk Hogan here. And then Hogan says something about destroying the announce table, and we hear a car engine revving, and we see the NWO monster truck come out, and he does all this revving of the engine, acting like he's going to destroy the announce table, and we don't get that destroyed, so they were liars. That was a lie.
It cuts away. I'm like, all right.
I didn't in particular like the ending with the monster truck part, but I thought the actual meat and potatoes between Macho Man and Hulk Hogan and Hollywood Hogan was actually pretty good. All right, so that is it for both shows. I feel like this Nitro was an improvement over last week, not by much, but about the same level.
Yeah.
But they built the main story between Macho Man and Hollywood Hogan well, so I think they accomplished that here. And they're also building up the undercard pretty well with some of the matches they announced tonight with Arn Anderson, Lex Luger, Faces of Fear, and Mongo and Benoit. Halloween Havoc is looking like a must-see show, and on Raw's side, the only thing they accomplished was building the Sycho Sid Vader thing. So to me, Nitro wins this easily.
Yeah, Nitro winning as well. America agreed with us as well. It was 3.5. It's the 15th week, I believe, in the streak.